called me like 2 weeks ago. She just said, I was talking with the committee and I just wanted to know if I have a strange request. And I was like, is she about to ask me to be in a pyramid scheme? I didn't know what she was about to ask me. But she said, could you be funny for 5 minutes? And I said, Erin, are you asking me to do a stand-up comedy routine? And she didn't answer, and I said, because I've been waiting my whole life for this moment. But as soon as I hung up the phone, I thought, this may be a very bad decision. Because I started trying to think, what am I going to talk about? And I was like, am I just going to tell a bunch of jokes? And I could feel like that could go south really fast. And so I asked some people about what I should talk about, and so I finally landed on something. But I think this is something that, as women, we can identify with, because I think in everyday life, most of us are pretty good about being like, if somebody cuts in front of you in line, you're like, excuse me. And if somebody passes over you for a promotion, you're like, how dare you? You stand up for yourself, you advocate for yourself. But if I go to a salon and I get an accidental mullet, and they ask me if I like it, I'm like, I love it, it looks great. And then I go to the car and I cry. And if any of you knew me in high school, that actually happened, and we call it the accidental mullet of 1996. Has its own title. My sister said to this day it's the only moment in her life that time stood still when I walked through the door. I had asked for the Meg Ryan shag and they gave me the Mrs. Brady thing, so it was like, But as I'm watching them cut my hair, I'm watching myself get more and more unattractive as the minutes are ticking by, and I'm thinking, this is not what I asked for. And my hair is getting shorter and shorter on top, but staying the same on the bottom. And then she turned me around and she's like, isn't it great? And I was like, it goes so great. And I got in the car and the first thing my mom said is, it'll grow. But I'm like this all of the time. So nail salons, if they cut me, I'm just like, and I don't say anything. I don't know why I feel like I can't say, you're hurting me, stop. So this brings me to what I'm going to talk about this morning. So I live in Huntsville and we have a mall. And I don't go to the mall all that often, but every time I go, there's something new. And so I went to return something to the mall about a month ago. And as I'm leaving the mall, I pass, and it's a new store, and I see, and it's just kind of over in the corner, and it's very dimly lit, and there's a sign out in front of it that says massages. And then it says, walk-ins welcome. And then under that it says, 30-minute head, shoulder, neck massage, $30. And I thought, I have $30. I have 30 minutes. I'm kind of sore, and I thought, I'm just going to go do it. So I went inside, and they have all the music playing, and it's a lot of tiny, tiny people that are working in there. And this man kind of popped up from behind the counter, and he said, how can I help you? And I said, I would like to do the 30-minute head, shoulder, neck, back massage. And he's like, 10 minutes. And I said, okay, great. So he had me sit down. And I'm sitting down, kind of looking around, and after I sat down, this woman came in, and we were about the same size. I'm 6 feet tall, I'm a bigger girl, and so is she. She sat down, she said she wanted the same thing. She wanted the head, shoulder, neck massage, and she wanted the 30 minutes. And he said, 10 minutes. And she said, okay. So she sat down next to me. We sat there for a minute, and then she kind of looked over at me and she said, have you been here before? And I said, no, I've actually never done this. I've always made an appointment for a massage when I've gotten one. She said, honey, they're so good. They fix my sciatica. But you need to prepare yourself. They like the big girls and they like our butts. I said, I'm sorry. And she said, they're going to go for your butt and they're going to stay there. And I said, are you sure? And she said, just prepare yourself. And I was like, all right. So this is probably sign one, maybe that I should not do this. So I sat there for a while. 10 minutes goes by. The very small man comes back. And when I say very small, he was about this here to me, and he took my jacket. He was very nice, and he takes me to the front of the store. So people are walking by, you can look to your left, and there they are. And there's these 2 massage chairs. And they're the kind that you have to kneel and put your face in a hammock. And I'm looking at it, and I'm like, that chair is really low to the ground. And I'm thinking, he's gonna raise it. And he just goes, you sit. And I was like, okay. So I just folded, and it was the size of a hobbit child. It was so small. So I folded myself in half and it was so short to the ground that I could not even fit my legs underneath where your legs are supposed to go. So I was just kind of crouching with all of my weight on my knees. And I put my face in that hammock and I thought, this feels awful. And immediately I started to get like a Charlie horse. And I'm like, but I said nothing. So then he immediately takes his elbow and leans into my back, trying to push my back into my stomach. And I can only say that that feels like someone leaning on your back with your elbow, trying to push your back into your stomach. And I kind of went, ugh. And that's the only thing I said the whole time, by the way. And he went, oh, he stopped, and I thought, okay. And then he went to my butt. And so I'm prepared though, because my friend has said, get ready. So I just clenched every muscle I had. And I'm gonna make him work for it. If he's gonna go for it, we're gonna get my money's worth. And so he's going at it. It does not feel good. It is uncomfortable. So he does that for about 5 minutes, and then he stops, and I'm like, oh, thank God. Then he kind of comes around to the front, and I think, well, maybe this is where he's gonna do like the shoulders, and this will be relaxing. But instead of doing that, he takes his fingers, he locks them, puts them at the base of my neck, and just pulls straight up. And I thought, oh, this is it. This is how I'm going to die. Because I've seen those Lifetime movies. I've seen those news shows about, internal decapitation. And I thought, he's gonna break my neck. And what's gonna happen is I'm just gonna suddenly slump, and he's gonna be like, oh, I got those kinks out of her muscles. But then he's gonna be like, no, she's dead. And then I will scare children as they walk by, because there's a dead lady laying in the massage chair. And I was like, this is how it's gonna be the end for me. So he does that for a really long time. And I'm spiraling, I'm thinking, this is gonna be bad. And then he finally stops that, then he goes back to my back and he starts using his knuckles all the way down my spine. Then I get another Charlie horse. And I kind of shift and he goes, oh, does this hurt? This would have been the time for me to say, yes, I feel like you might be killing me. But instead, I just said, oh, it's fine, it was good. Because I was like, I have to prove that I can take this massage. So he's working on the back, and then he ends up going back to the derriere for a while more. Then he goes back to the back, and it just keeps going back and forth. At one point, my left arm I started not being able to feel it. And all of a sudden I was like, oh, I have nerve damage. It's like he's done something to my shoulder, and I now have nerve damage. Because I can tell you, he was pushing so hard with his thumbs that he popped my back a couple times. With his thumbs. So I'm thinking, my arm is dead, and I was like, from here on out, it's the arm I write with. So now I'm gonna have to be like, the people will be like, can you sign this? I'm like, sorry, I got this dead arm. Or I'm not gonna be able to drive, I got this dead arm. And so I'd planned my whole life. But that is kind of how I work, I spiral into the things. So we get done, finally the little timer goes off, and it's been 30 minutes of excruciating pain, and I can feel the bruises already forming. And I leapt up like a gazelle. And he said, do you want more? And I was like, no, I'm A-okay. I feel very loose. And at the same time, the lady that was sitting next to me, she's finishing up, and she's like stretching. She looks so, refreshed. She said, don't you feel like a new woman? I said, well, I feel things. I feel a lot of things. And he gave me a card. I will never go back. But I was trying to think of a way, this conference is about trust. And trusting in God, and I think sometimes I spiral. That's a very small example of where my mind goes sometimes. And I think we often do that. We start to think about the worst case scenarios, and we plan it all out before God doesn't even do anything. He hasn't done anything to and the thing hasn't even happened, but we're like, I've already got a dead arm, or I'm already paralyzed, from the neck down. But God will take care of us, and God will pave the way for us, even if the worst case scenario happens. If the worst case scenario happens, I have a family that will push me around in that wheelchair that I use my mouth with after that massage. Anyway, thank you all for listening to me. I hope you have a really good time.